2022 has been a fun year on YouTube, and I have you guys to thank for supporting me this far. From better video quality to weekly streams, this would have not been possible without you watching. So, with 2023 right around the corner, I thought I'd make a collection of all my main videos in a sort of feature-length supercut for new and old viewers. Throughout the videos, I'll even have my own commentary via drop-in like this to shed some light on my thought process. With that said, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. First up is Retail Woes Part 1. I commissioned my good friend and talented artist Citrus to draw me as a cashier. If you pay close attention, you'll see the sketch says Trader Joe Woes, but the final version says Wall Beans. She really outdid herself on the furry puns. After that, she added the details, and I did some small edits to make it into a thumbnail, and animated it blinking for the Twitter previews. This video is special because I decided to try a new paper style of editing, where most objects are like cutouts. It's a little jank, but I enjoyed it thoroughly. Retail. Or as I like to call it, NPC Simulator 3000. AKA legal torture for young adults and preteens with zero experience. Speaking as a past employee of Walgreens, Pizza Hut, and some other places, there's nothing quite like it. So let's start with my first job at Walgreens. Or Happy Harry's, if you're over the age of 50 and refuse to move on, asking me every single day, "No, Brenda, we don't have milkshakes anymore. There is no whites-only bathroom. Please get out." While I'm on the floor working for my life with the world's largest to-do list, my manager Qerewe is having a blast playing the real-life equivalent of FNAF. But she has unlimited power to keep the doors locked until her shift ends at 6 AM. I swear, as soon as I'm trying to do something important, customers activate like Emmys and will hunt me down only to ask the world's dumbest question. But I don't want to be all negative. There are some genuine good moments in retail. In the Walgreens I used to work at, I was known as the photo guy. For context, I was studying photography in high school and knew a lot about how to take good photos. And, you know, stuff like rule of thirds, color balance, etc. So at work, I had a blast helping customers to get good photos, and people would come to the store just for me. I legit had people coming in the store saying, "Hey, is Tay here? We would like to get our photos done." And my manager would be like, "Well, I could do it for you." And they would be like, "No thanks, we like him because he does it right." And boy, let me tell you, she was mad. And we didn't do regular photos, mind you. We also did canvas prints and banners too. So if you had someone in the back who just didn't care about your orders, you'd get some jank mess like this. One of my favorite experiences was one day I was helping an older lady restore a photo of her late husband. For clarification, she was 94 years old, and the sweetest woman I had ever seen. She pulled out a tiny photo, about half the size of a credit card, and she said she's held on to it for over 50 years. But due to her poor eyesight, the photo was too small for her to see, and she liked to carry it wherever she went. So, about after 2 hours of using the Photolab's caveman version of Photoshop, I got a pretty good result and showed it off to her. And let me tell you, she was so happy. Not only did she cry, but she actually asked to speak to my managers and told them to give me a raise. If only it worked like that. A few days later, she actually wrote a letter to the store, to me specifically, showing her gratitude for my help. And after that, the rest was history. Needless to say, my manager didn't like how customers would only come to me, or how they would wait for my shift to start ordering photos. So, what did she do? Yep, I was moved to the floor, moving pallets and putting away groceries. Whenever I went in to check the schedule, I never had photo department again. And it was sad as I watched more lazy co-workers act like Squidward and ruin everyone's photos. Eventually I got moved to the one position everyone hates. The cash register. Let me tell you, being an NPC for 8+ hours a day is no fun. Normally I care about people and their daily lives, but when you have a line reaching into the adult diapers aisle, and a lady who decided it was a good idea to forget her purse and hand me a damp $10 bill from her bra, you know it's gonna be a long day. Oh yeah, when working at the register, we would have these buttons we could press that announces codes, but if you have half a brain cell, you should know the codes stand for something. The most popular was the IC3 alarm. It basically meant that the main cashier was getting their butt flooded, and they needed backup. Unfortunately, backup would never come, and after spamming the button like 10 times, some dude who was probably asleep in the back finally decided to help out. One thing Walgreens did that became pretty well known is the Red Nose Day event. We still had to sell these noses, and our managers would get on us if we weren't selling any. So that meant asking every customer, would you like a red nose for Red Nose Day? A majority said no, but I did my best to be the star employee and
sincere service with a smile.
One day while trying to sell a nose to a customer, the dude got mad at me and started ranting about why we're supporting forced child labor by selling things made from China? Then he proceeds to purchase a toy that was probably made in China and left the store somehow thinking his double standard was valid? I don't want to spend all day talking about the kinds of customers I meant, so here's a speed course of some of the more wacky or bad ones. There was a man who cut off half his thumb and was bleeding all over my counter, and when I recommended the ER, he said it was just a scratch, and proceeded to hand me a bloody $10 bill. Then again, knowing the healthcare system, I wouldn't blame him. This other time, two guys tried to use a fake ID to buy cigarettes, and then dropped a bag of drugs when they ran out. Real fun! White powdery stuff inside. Of course, I called my manager, and let the police handle the situation, but nevertheless, fun to see that kind of stuff. Also, can't forget, our store was robbed on Christmas Eve a couple of years ago. Well, two robbers went to pharmacy, and instead of going after the register, which I thought they would have done, they actually stuck up the people in pharmacy and just stole a bunch of drugs back there. I think one of the funnest things that will test your patience is the many extreme couponers. But this one I had was especially bad. Not only did she come up to the register with an attitude, she had a wad of mismatched expired coupons, and she expected me to magically make the price go down. And after spending about 15 minutes flattening out all the coupons, scanning them, checking what worked and what didn't work, she got mad I couldn't take more off the price and left the store with the cart overflowing with shampoo bottles at the register that I had to put away. When working in retail, you tend to know who your regulars are, and I was pretty familiar with all the homeless or struggling families in the area. And while management said helping customers with coupons was a waste of time and unallowed, I made sure to help abuse the system as much as possible. So if I'm going to be a tool for capitalism, you best believe I'm going to help anyone I can. One last experience I want to mention that made my job worth working was this really cool homeless guy named Joe. He was really big with a long beard, and being self-aware, he called himself Santa's half-brother. Every Friday he would come into the store and buy his signature snack, which was an entire box of Reese's Fast Break bars. He was such a happy man, and just cruising around the store offering people a bar or two before leaving with a great big goodbye. Since he tended to pay with quarters, I made sure to have extra coupons just for him whenever possible, and tried to point him to just deals around the city where he could just find good food. So, like I said, guys, I could easily go on and on about my work experience in retail, but to keep things simple, I'll end it off here. You know, thanks for watching. If you happen to work retail, feel free to let me know what your work was like and how you're doing. Regardless, I'm happy to say I've moved on. I am currently a bus driver, and maybe another day I'll talk about some of my other work experiences. Next up is Retail Woes Part 2 Pizza Hut Edition. After the feedback from Part 1, I went even further with the paper aesthetic, and I'm quite proud of how it turned out. I also think the editing is much better, as I took a page from Lonely Goopa's editing style by tacking on my head onto other people for fun. I've always been skeptical of making life story videos, but after seeing how this one went well, I'll definitely do another.
A few weeks ago, I made a video about my past history working retail at Walgreens. It was my first job, and I was there for roughly 5 years before moving on to a car dealership and finally landing my current job as a bus driver, with some other stuff in between. However, while my current resume may state I may have a history with 3 jobs, there was a 4th secret job in between Honda and bus driving that I really don't like to mention. It was sinister. It was evil. It was Pizza Hut. Picture this. I'm unemployed, have a car with a bad transmission that is way too expensive to fix, and desperately need a job. I've applied to over 50 different jobs on Indeed and LinkedIn, but since I'm a young adult with my only skill being black, nobody wants me. So, what do I see one day? Yeah, the local Pizza Hut was hiring, and after swallowing my pride, I applied for the driver position. The manager in charge who hired me was Jeff. He wasn't the world's nicest guy, but he wasn't exactly mean either. He was more of a realist that just got stuff done. After shaking his hand, he sat me down and told me, "You know the pay here sucks, right?" And after laughing it off and basically muttering, "Yeah, I know," I was officially hired. A few days passed, and after talking to some of the employees, it turns out that 99% of the staff was new or from different Pizza Hut locations. Well, it turns out the location I was working for was in the red zone, and it basically meant that the store had poor sales and reception. So the new manager, Jeff, who hired me, was sent to get new employees because the previous one was shot. Let me reiterate, the previous driver was shot. The worst part is that nobody told me what happened to the guy afterwards or how it even happened. So I was kind of too nervous to ask and just assumed it was a fake story or that just maybe he left. But more on that later. So let's talk about the actual delivering. Eventually I got to start delivering by myself, and all things considered, it was okay for the first few hours. You see, while a lot of places will advertise delivering as a fun experience, since you can play your favorite music while you drive and give food to people, what they don't tell you is the novelty wears off rather quickly. To put it in perspective, if you work at DoorDash or Uber Eats, you get to choose what deliveries you do and work at your own pace. Sure, you don't get an hourly wage, but if you work efficiently, you'll make some mad cash and don't have to turn your tips into the boss. So why didn't I do DoorDash or Uber? Well, apparently my card didn't meet the requirements. I also have to add that since COVID had just broken out, the procedure for delivering was a bit different. You see, when you normally have a pizza delivered, you just hand it to the customer and leave like a normal person. But Pizza Hut, being extra for publicity, made us use these flimsy stands. What you were supposed to do was place this ring down, set the pizza on top, knock on the door, step back, and let the customer grab it. Sure, it sounds like a good idea for social distancing, but nobody liked them. Customers didn't like stepping outside, elderly customers had a hard time bending over to pick up a pizza I essentially put on the floor, and it made the delivery all the more tedious. Sure, there was a few people that took it seriously, but a vast majority said, "Please just hand it to me," and I was cool with that. Anyway, one of the lamest deliveries I had was in this upper class neighborhood. This lady had ordered over 10 pizzas for a party, and after having me set them down along with her breadsticks, wings, and brownies, she says the one thing I was dreading all my life.
Where's my drink?
What drink?
Yeah, that happened. Apparently, whoever took her order put her drink on a different receipt and didn't give it to me. After that, she took the pizzas, gave me no tip after I drove close to 30 minutes away, fighting traffic, and only to have an angry manager ask me what's taking me so long.
Don't you ever once think of the customer? You call yourself a delivery boy? Well, I ain't buying!
Another time I delivered to this older couple, and the husband was about to hand me a 20, but the wife smacked him and said, "I already tipped him more than enough with the credit card." And when I looked at the amount she tipped on the receipt, it was $3. While I can count a ton of bad deliveries, I do want to mention a really good one, and unfortunately, there's only really one or two good ones. So one day, while going back to the rich neighborhood, I delivered to this guy who was in his garden, and not expecting anything, I started to leave. But then he yelled for me to come back, and surprisingly, he gave me $25, and he said he knew I was working really hard. And it worked out too, because I had absolutely no gas, and it was enough to get me through payday. So, shoutouts to that guy. One thing I absolutely despised was working in the store, cleaning and making pizza. Now some of you may think, don't be a wuss, Tay, be a team player. And to that I would say, screw the team if there ain't enough people. You need to understand, when I filled out the job application, it said delivery. I didn't choose the cooking or cleaning position on purpose. So when I was called back to wash and oil pans or box pizzas, I was pretty mad. You need to understand that as a driver, a majority of my income came from people giving me tips. And every second I spent doing someone else's job, I was losing money. So when I jokingly told the manager, you know, we should get a bigger team, apparently the higher-ups wouldn't allow that and made us work with a skeleton crew. I find it ironic that our store was in such a bad position and needed all the help it could get. But rather than hire and properly compensate people, they worked us to death with the bare minimum. At this rate, I was working at Pizza Hut for close to 3 weeks, and I made up my mind I was going to leave. I was mistreated and made fun of for not being experienced by other employees, and I was never sent out on deliveries, and when I was supposed to clock out at 10 p.m., I was often kept till 2 a.m. to help finish cleaning because nobody would do their job. One slow day while folding boxes to use for later, a new guy came into the store with a Pizza Hut uniform and a cast on his arm. After talking for a bit, it turned out he was in the hospital and out of work for a few weeks. So when I asked him why his arm was in a cast, it turns out he was the guy who was shot! He was only given roughly a few weeks of workers' comp, and after that he had nothing to support himself on, so he had to come back to the store. It turns out that one night someone mistook him for somebody else and shot him while delivering pizza. Part of me has to wonder if it was anything with the big red shirts we had to wear in these neighborhoods. The next day, heading back to work, my car broke down for the 10th time that week. I worked my butt off to only bring home roughly $3.75 a week, working minimum wage. And for what? To spend half of that in gas? To risk being shot in a bad neighborhood? To be yelled at by someone who screwed up their own order? No, I was done, and I quit. The boss tried to get me to stay and offer me a 50-cent raise since I was cooking and driving. But after all the junk I had to go through, I said my goodbyes and left. But not without leaving my lock on the little door. You know, have fun using some bolt cutters to get that off. A month after I left, Pizza Hut was under a lawsuit for underpaying its delivery drivers and for purposeful misclassification. Being desperate for money to pay my bills, and being naive in the workforce, I had no idea I was being taken advantage of. To make things even worse, that store I used to work at was shut down for good, as Pizza Hut filed for bankruptcy and closed a ton of locations. So I'm pretty glad I cut my losses and left. It's really hard to pick out the good with this job like I did in my last video covering Walgreens, but there's a lot more details I can't cover in this video just due to time. Overall, while it was a poor experience, I lived through it, and I will acknowledge there are worse jobs out there. So, thank you to all the delivery drivers out there, whether you do pizza, Uber Eats, or anything else like that. If you're interested in knowing more, feel free to chat with me in Discord or comment below. And as always, thanks for watching. The Metaverse's Metacringe was supposed to be a meme video, but turned into a real one after I kept running into more and more absurd tweets that kept making me lose my mind. So, while the video is much shorter than my normal ones, more time went into the edits seen in this video.
What the fuck is that thing?
You know what I like? Technology. There's nothing cooler than spending copious amounts of time online. And I'm sure my ancestors are proud of me for dressing up as a furry in my spare time at the prime age of 23 when I could be getting myself that elusive gamer girlfriend, you know what I mean? One thing I don't like is technology that's wasteful for profit or abuses your free time for no reason. You know, imagine going to watch your favorite video and you're bombarded with ads. Hey, fair enough. All I'm saying is, whenever we have the technology to do something cool, it's usually tied to some cash-grabbing gimmick. And what better way to show off a worthless technology than with NFTs? The whole uprising of NFTs trying to be forced in our everyday lives has just led to crypto bros reinventing worse versions of already existing products in hopes of having people think they're not completely useless. I mean, bro, that's called a book. I'm waiting for one of them to go, what if we had an NFT you could just eat and consume?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
And there's an NFT vending machine? Imagine going to the Metaverse just for this to happen. But I'm not here to talk about the funky monkey NFT craze and how respected ones who passed away are being used for money, or how these people are literally sucking up the yearly energy intake of Taiwan in a day.
Here's the problem. You know what they say, all toasters toast toast. Uh-oh.
You bring a light?
Oh no! We're talking about the Metaverse.
Holographic meatloaf? My favorite!
I know tons of people have been talking about Zuck's Metaverse and his love for Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce. And while I'm sure it'll be a technological marvel in the future...
Do you have a favorite feature to use in here?
Yeah.
Something that you think is very cool?
Check this out.
Wow.
So that's pretty neat.
This is so freaking cool.
At the moment, many of us can barely play Windjammers with a decent ping because our internet providers keep throttling our speeds, you freaking Comcast! Now, I want you to close your eyes and imagine, if you will, your average grocery store visit. You know, maybe something like a Walmart. So, got it locked in your mind? Great. Now, at about 15 frames of lag, an area so empty they fit in a liminal spaces tweet. And congratulations, you are now virtually shopping. And oh my god, I just want to criticize this footage for a minute. Where are the shadows? These textures look like they came straight out of The Sims. And who are you? Why aren't you animated? Watching this person try to take the item out the cart is so hilarious. You can see they're struggling a bit to grab it, like, grab the milk! Also, wait, so it only counts the items if they go in the cart, yet I can hold them? So what if I just don't put it in the cart? What if I'm in the Metaverse and I just start running with the milk? If I commit a crime in the Metaverse, do I also get jail time in real life?
They like that. Where'd my buggy go? Where'd my freaking buggy go? You took my buggy? Oh, shit! Strike!
Well, sorry to burst your bubble, but it turns out that viral Walmart clip that's been going around Twitter, yeah, apparently it was made 5 years ago by a small company using it as a pitch to Walmart. But the point still stands. Shopping like this would be very lonely and just really not interesting. I mean, why? Why are we going backwards with future technology? There's also another demo here, this time for H&M, and while I admit it's cool looking, there's this unsettling atmosphere that comes off more like it's a FNAF security breach ripoff than anything. Again, in my opinion, I think it's the lack of shadows that makes it or breaks it. I mean, the floor has reflections, there's a lot of cool stuff, you know, lights and everything, whatever, but it's not hitting right for me. I think there's a combination of innovative, cool things and outright dumb, useless things. Like those AR glasses look cool, but all this is just unused ad space for our eyeballs. I mean, have you seen Hyper Reality? It's basically this modern day dystopian future video where life is tied to your AR device, and the more you watch, the worse it gets. Long story short, you can see how companies would just abuse this. So, you like running? Want to make life more like a video game? Well, boy, do I have the thing for you. AR glasses will let you be able to run with the hologram. And you can even do time trials. Remember as a kid, you'd be in the back seat and while your parents drove, you'd imagine things like Sonic running alongside the car, or maybe Spider-Man swinging by? No? Just me? Well, let's make that a reality. I'd love to make my commute to work even more interesting by racing Sonic on the highway. Imagine it! I'm just zipping through the road like this. Gotta catch Sonic! Gotta beat my best time!
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so those were my basic thoughts on the absurdity of the Metaverse, NFTs, and overall new tech that goes wasted. In my opinion, if you want to experience real VR fun, I suggest VR Chat or Neos. A vast majority is made by independent creators, and there's no ads. no algorithm spying on your every move, and your social credit points won't be drained if you call the local brand trash. So overall, thanks for watching the video, guys. I hope as we go into the future, we have some genuine cool things about the metaverse. I don't want people to get the wrong idea that I hate everything. You know, I'm not some sort of boomer that hates technology, but I think we can all be on the same page here, thinking that a lot of this good technology is just being wasted. And at the end of the day, a lot of us just want our graphics cards. Like, come on, we just need to upgrade our PCs. Anyway, that's Tay. Over and out. I'll see you next time. My first time playing VR chat was supposed to be a really special video set to come out in 2021, but I lost 90% of it because the motherboard of my first PC had died, making me lose nearly 30 hours of editing I spent on an hour-long special video. And once I built a new PC thanks to the donations of my patrons and Tarantula, I was able to recover the video, but sadly, only the first 5 minutes.
Your face is mine.
What is going on? What is happening? I'm being sucked in! Help! Help! Oh my god!
Embrace the sniffs. I think I killed him. Sounds like it, yeah.
What? What are you sniffing?
Where are you? Where are you?
No, stay away from me.
Come here, let me smell that. Let me smell your stinky fox.
I'm tiny.
You are small.
Aww, look at you. Sitting I am, because stand you niggas I cannot. You there. Gimme. Mine.
I'm gonna draw glasses on you.
Ooh. Draw me, daddy.
Alright, I have to just... okay.
Take a picture.
Oh, wait, hold on. I have a photo
screenshot.
Hold on.
You wanna play a game? No.
Among Us?
Among Us. Have you played Murder Mystery?
Among Us. Among Us.
You played Murder Mystery.
I think
you played Murder Mystery.
Yeah, that's Among Us, right? It's
no.
Murder, so it must be Among Us, right?
Oh my god, I hate you.
With you. No! No! Aki! No! Among Us?
Move!
Whoopee! Among Us! Among Us! Among Us!
Damn it, you're the game master.
Wait, me?
Yeah.
I don't know how to play this. Oh, this is cool. This is like Among Us Deluxe.
This is what Among Us ripped off, or at least this original style of game. Among Us
Among Us came first. How you doing?
What's up? Do you mind if two friends crash here?
Yeah, I don't mind.
What is up, gamer?
Say.
Okay, we got him.
Oh.
Hey, where are you?
Hey.
There
buddy.
you are. Okay.
Hey, buddy.
I'm the detective.
Okay.
If innocents find out who it is and scream their name, the detective goes and shoots them.
Probably because the window's
My
really
question
small.
is now, are you the murderer?
Honestly, I didn't even look when the game started. Is that a snake?
That's new.
Yo!
That's new. That's new. Okay, Tay, I think you are the murderer.
Really?
How am I the murderer? I thought it just started.
With this though is I haven't been able to run source game at a good frame rate, which is very warning. So
and, don't close drawers.
I mean,
don't close them.
You know what?
Alright, so if I'm gonna be completely honest, I didn't know what to do as the murderer.
I know.
You're the snake.
Okay.
Wait! Oh no, I'm the detective now! I don't like this. Can I shoot you?
It's technically cheating. It's technically cheating and frowned upon.
Really?
A few moments later.
Alright guys, we're spy checking. Stand still.
When
spy checking! Spy checking! Alright, not you. We're spy checking! Is it you?
I should... It was you! It was you!
God.
It was you! You're a fucking comedian, aren't you?
Oh my god! Okay, I will never game.
Tay, Tay.
Yeah.
Tay.
Yeah.
You can kill innocents too, by the way.
Oh. Oh, darn it. Now I'm the bystander. What the?
What the hell just happened?
Oh, game's over.
Sage, did you turn yourself in?
Sage, what happened?
I have no fucking.
What happened?
I joined and then it just kicked me out.
Please don't shoot me.
I'm going to kill you with this photo. Yeah.
Oh, I just heard something.
What just happened?
What's that thing on the ground?
What just happened?
Oh.
Hey,
I
Tay.
have a knife. Aki? 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 Why are you holding that knife? Aki?
Run.
Aki! That wasn't funny!
What?
I was like, why are you holding a knife? And I'm like, and it took a minute to register! I'm like, you're the killer!
As the murderer, there is no cooldown. Good luck, idiot.
Bruh, bystander, more like...
Bystander? What?
The Wendy's Discord server redemption video is a follow-up of a video I made back in early 2021 on my phone. Long story short, the Wendy's brand made an official Discord server, and it went as well as a hurricane in a small town. Pure chaos. You can see that here if you want. However, a few months later, I went to check up on the server, and so much had changed, I made a little feel-good video showing you can have a wholesome community in the most unlikely of places. Well guys, this is a first for the channel. Today we have some good news for once. For context, roughly half a year ago, the official Wendy's brand made a Discord server. And in classic internet fashion, it quickly took a turn for the worst. So, after scouting out the place, I made this video discussing what a dumpster fire it was. I decided to do a little bit of trolling, you know, so I decided to say, hey guys, I'm black. Anyone care to call me names for YouTube dramatic effect? And this is where the fun begins. Oh boy, there's our first customer! Needless to say, while things were rough, there were some good eggs that kept the server running, and I had a good laugh. Fast forward a few months to this past Tuesday afternoon, and I got a ping on Discord. To my surprise, it was Kete, an actual moderator for the server, thanking me for the video I had long forgotten about. And as a disclaimer, I would like to note that while Kete is a mod for the server, any opinions stated don't represent the views of Wendy or Discord. Just getting that out of the way. After chatting for a bit, it turns out the server has done a complete 180 in terms of quality. And the Wendy's branding aside, it's actually become a pretty decent community to just enjoy other people's company. Looking back at the server, everything is more or less the same. I mean, all the rules are the same, you still have the option to choose your pronouns, and some unnecessary channels have been cut. Most notably, the now defunct Spicy Chat is gone for good. Understandably, I can see why this channel in particular was nuked. If you remember from the previous video, this is where most of the problems were spawning from. It's rare to see a community pick itself up like this, because I'll be honest, while I knew the mods would do a good job, I was pretty much ready to write it off as a loss. And I gotta give a shout out to Kete once again, you know, one of the only mods to be so nice to talk to me, and whenever someone brings up one of my videos, I always blush a little bit. And I also gotta give a shout out to these other fine fellows who made visiting the server honestly a breath of fresh air. I'm sorry for this being such a short video, but you know, after getting that message and seeing how much has changed, I had to make a follow-up video. And while there's not too much to cover, you know, if you have any ideas for things I should review in the future, I'd love to see them in the comments below. Believe it or not, most video ideas come from me just randomly thinking of things. I have a list, but you know, it's not that organized. And I love covering little topics like this most YouTubers won't cover. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Twitter Artists Are Insane was made due to the influx of talented people on Twitter using their talents for evil. Basically taking my Innocent Fox character and proceeding to make gender-bent versions or femme versions of them as a joke. While I don't mind what people do to me, this was happening back to back so much I thought it was funny to just cover in the video.
Who's that Pokemon? It's...
Alright, Twitter artists have got to be some of the craziest people I know.
They willingly choose to use a website that goes against everything they do creatively, and whenever they mention commissions or sales, they basically have to use leet speak or risk having Twitter hide their tweets. And it really sucks too, because some of the most talented people I know, I discovered on this cesspool of a website after spending hours and hours looking for a unique style. And honestly, that's what I love about them. Despite all odds, a lot of artists keep making stuff on Twitter, and sometimes, just sometimes, they get the algorithm on their side, and I really love it. Prime examples of some really good artists that I've been working with lately is Citrus, who's been making me new character stills and thumbnails for my channel for the last few months. And most recently, Moontoon, who's been making me new thumbnails and also some really cool animations. However, when I'm not seeking out an artist to commission, artists are usually looking for me. Enter VJ. She's been a very good friend of mine who makes some really amazing artwork. And when the planets align just right, she gets an idea and makes me fan art. So, what happens when you give a bunny too much free time and a drawing tablet?
It's beautiful.
Now, to be clear, this isn't my first piece of fan art I've received, but this was the start of a trend that would probably be my downfall. Anyway, here's just a sample of what Via's made me. Weeks later, I make a new friend, Wolfen. Once again, another really talented artist who makes all sorts of cool drawings and small animations. But upon seeing VJ's art, they decided to add fuel to the fire and DM me on Discord. Now, while my Discord account is public, I don't normally answer DMs since most conversations turn out like this. So let me simulate what happened after I accepted their request.
Nope.
The fuck? And just like that, I somehow became mommy material. Not to be outdone, soon comes along Maxine. She's another good artist who makes really nice pinup art, and, well, being friends with Wolfen, this happens. Mind you, this is only like 2 days apart, I think, and once I'm done panicking over that, soon comes along Cleo, and then finally, respect.
We're going to hell for this. Where did this come from? This can't be up here.
To be clear, I love all this art I've been getting, and honestly, I'm really flattered people even take the time to do this. There are many more talented people I don't have time to mention today, unfortunately, but let me know if you want a part 2 and maybe I'll look into featuring more artists. If you're interested in any of my friends' art, their accounts are in the description below. And as always, a big thanks to my wonderful Patreon and Ko-fi supporters for helping fund the videos I make. I've been kind of going through a rough patch lately in editing, but I thought I'd just make this short little fun video to give a shout out to some of my friends and just shed some light on how silly it is, as I got some cool videos coming out soon. So stay tuned, and remember, stay foxy.
Morbid thought.
Bruh. Well, this video is aged like milk. Prior to the release of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, everyone online was debating what would become of the new starter cat, Sprigatito. And wanting to jump in on the fun, I had to cover the topic. In hindsight, I can see why people were concerned, but in my opinion, I love its final design. So the other day we had a Pokemon Direct presentation thingy, and aside for some vague DLC, missing DLC, and potential disappointment, we got the announcement for a new generation in Pokemon Violet and Scarlet. But let's get to the point. Everyone is going crazy over these starters. You got Weedcat, this little bubble bobble Scrimlow thing, and finally Donald freaking Duck. I hope Game Freak had some serious discussions about copyright. My favorite has to be the cat, and before I say any names, I just want to reiterate,
I don't speak Spanish! Yeah!
So I'm gonna call that cat Spriggy for short. As I was saying, this thing has completely taken over my homepage. There are memes, art, videos, you name it.
However, Pokemon fans seem to be nervous and highly critical about its potential final evolution. You see, there's been a trend lately where a lot of Pokemon that start off on all fours become... yeah. I made a joke saying that Pokemon should stay on all fours and show more animal traits, because if this thing stands up and turns out to be more Anthrobait, then God help us all. I hear the Rule 34 coming.
Oh my goodness!
But I mean, look at these reactions. These people are absolutely seething. Literally, on one side, you got everyone that wants it to stand up, and on the other side, you want everyone to have it stay on all fours. While Litten became Incineroar, an absolute beefcake, definitely made to appeal to a certain demographic, many are scared we'll get this. And while I could care less about what kind of thing it'll look like, it's just fun seeing people's takes on it, on what it could be. I mean, look at this. It's just a duck, right?
Don't be intimidated, Squidward. Try to imagine him in his underwear. Oh no, he's hot!
You know the furry scale on how to determine the difference between a real animal and an anthro one with this scale? So we're gonna use this one right here. You start with the base, and we upgrade. And we upgrade again! And one more time! You sick fuck! I also love how this little apple dude is so out there. Instead, the kind of memes we got for this guy is this. But I have to admit, this little monster is freaking adorable. Overall, I think there's a lot of cool things that's going to be happening with Pokemon Generation 9. I really hope they take the Legends Arceus aspect of it, because honestly, that was probably one of the best Pokemon games I've played in a long time, so going back to the strict turn-based formula wouldn't be that much fun, but it seems pretty promising. Overall, I'm really excited to see what kind of new Pokemon get added to it, and you know, as long as we get more of the KittCatt, I think I'm pretty happy. Anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about the new Pokemon generation. You know, are there going to be more cool ones? Do you think the cat is actually going to stand up? Let me know what you think below, and I'll see you next time.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
After the success of reviewing Tori 3D 1 and 2 back in 2021, I wanted to branch out and discover Chessplosion one day. This is also the first time I commissioned Citrus for a thumbnail, and that was probably the best decision I've ever made. I would also like to note that this video was made before CT Matthews' transition, so it's a bit outdated in that regards. However, I do plan to re-review the game and its new content addressing her properly in the future. Chessplosion is a game made by CT Matthews, where you try to blow up your opponents with chess pieces and solve chess-like puzzles using said bombs. The best part is how you don't even have to know much about chess to get started playing. You move in a simple grid-like pattern, and the pieces you put down will explode in the pathway perspective of said piece. I know there's a solo story mode, but I really want to focus on the multiplayer for a moment. It's actually really good, and funnily enough, it has rollback netcode. Let that sink in for a moment. A chess game has better online play than most AAA games. Playing an online match is as simple as choosing matchmaking or making a lobby. Unfortunately, not many people are online, but I hope to change that with this video. So if you're feeling spunky like me, do what I did and buy 5 copies of the game, hold your Patreon supporters hostage, and force them to have a good time. But seriously, a big thank you to my patrons for helping me gather online gameplay. Without them, things would have been awkward. During our spree of intellectual terrorism, we had a blast, pun intended, trying to outsmart each other by strategically placing our bombs. However, some people had other ideas.
Oh, I hit myself. Spam!
Spam doesn't work better. That's why I won. You gotta think tactically.
Spam!
You're gonna get us all killed.
That's my job! Spam!
Oh.
I'll play this like a fight.
No,
it works!
I murdered myself,
I refuse to lose to someone that spams. While I love the chaos of 4-player matches, I do wish the board was just a little bit bigger to incentivize strategic play. Eventually, I did some one-on-one matches, and without the chaos of multiple people, the game really shines here in this area. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, you can chain bombs in this game. And if utilized properly, you could do some really devious setups to trap your opponents.
Gotcha! Ooh, the setup was real on that one.
And that does it for multiplayer. Short, sweet, and really reliable. We only ran into one connection problem.
Yo,
oh, hell yeah.
Let's go.
Okay. Yo, Yogi, let's go.
3.
3.
3.
3.
3.
3.
Let's go!
Let's go!
But otherwise, everything went smoothly. Now, before we move on to the single-player content, while editing this video, I was able to reach out to CT Matthews and ask them for an interview and play a few rounds of the game. Little did I know, this guy is an EVO champion, and he practically handed my ass to me. To put it simply, he won some rounds, I won not as many. My favorite round was when he trapped me and forced me to die by my own explosions by blocking me.
Nope.
All in all, it was an amazing time, and a big thank you to CT Matthews for agreeing to contribute to this video. Battle mode is essentially the local multiplayer option, where you can do free-for-all, team battle, and tennis battles. The single-player modes consist of adventure, puzzle, survival, arcade, and training. Training is pretty self-explanatory where you learn the rules. Arcade pits you against a string of multiple challenges with a limited number of lives. And survival mode is just that. You are unarmed and you have to go through waves of explosions taking as few hits as possible. If you're a fan of something like Touhou, it can be pretty exhilarating to think ahead and dodge it all. Puzzle mode takes us to preset boards where you have to blow up a set number of targets by thinking outside the box. And in some cases, setting up chains. You get as much time as you need to think, so this mode is actually quite relaxing. Moving into solo mode, it takes you into a Mario 3 inspired level select, where in order to progress, you must pass a certain number of stages, and finally a boss, to progress from world to world. And might I add, I really enjoy the choice of colors in each world. If you go into the options, you can even choose your own, and each one is more colorful and vibrant than the last. Puzzle Maker is the most recent addition to the game. Like all good games, this lets you make your own puzzles and share them via codes. While I haven't dived too deep in these custom puzzles, I can say they vary from thought-provoking to straight-up frantic, giving those who wanted more a real run for their money. Chessplosion is a really good game, proving that simple ideas can go far if done right. I don't have much to criticize about it, but I would like to note that more is coming in the future to update, and I'll definitely cover that in an update video when it's released. For those of you that are interested in the development of this game, CT Matthews actually has a Twitter thread documenting all the changes he's made to it, and frankly it's actually pretty cool, especially seeing how these little birds initially started off. Look at those things. Overall, the core gameplay is fun for chess nerds like myself, and is worthy of the title Chess 2. If anyone wants to get the game, I'll leave links below on where to purchase it, and hope to play a match against some of my viewers someday. With that, thanks for watching the video, and I'll see ya in the next one.
With the release of a new Pac-Man collection came games many have never played in a long time, and among those was Pac-In-Time. After doing some research and looking on YouTube, it turns out there was more to the game than I had initially thought, and being a big fan of Pac-Man, it was fitting I covered it. I'm quite proud of the edits I did in this one, even if the quality does drop in the end a little bit.
Want to know what a furry and Pac-Man have in common? No, not that kind of furry. This furry. Well, stay tuned and I'll explain in today's video. So, Pac-Man Museum Plus just came out on all platforms, and with it we have 14 classic games all playable on one cartridge. While there are some questionable choices in this collection, such as having the Japanese versions of games rather than the English versions, or the erasure of Miss Pac-Man, all in all, it's a solid collection that rivals the likes of Sonic Origins. Where's the physical copy, Sega? With the modern release of classic games comes a lot of newcomers who have never played the classics, such as the arcade version of Arrangement, Super Pac-Man, Pac-Motos, or Championship Edition, the last game made by the father of Pac-Man, Toru Iwatani himself. However, a lot of people will get to discover such classics like Pac-Land and a game I've never played until now, Pac-In-Time. Pac-In-Time is a weird game to say the least. Growing up, I would see it but never really cared to play it as there was no modern port of the game and it just never caught my attention. But now that I had Museum Plus, I had no excuse to play it.
Bruh.
Okay, scratch that. I had to play it if I wanted to get the good content. Thanks, Namco. Pac-In-Time starts us off with the story that confirms it's a sequel to Pac-Man 2: The New Adventures. Remember that point-and-click game where Pac-Man had crazy personality problems? The plot essentially breaks down to how the Ghost Witch is mad at Pac-Man for foiling her plans, when all Pac-Man did in the previous game was get some milk, pick a flower, and hang out at the arcade, only stepping up to fight when his son was literally robbed. Anyway, the old hag puts a curse on Pac-Man.
You should kill yourself.
The game looks nice, and the music is phenomenal for a SNES game. Like, it's almost on Pluck levels of good. But, unfortunately, that's all the good I can say about it. Slippery controls, confusing cryptic puzzles, and cheap level design make this an absolute pain to play. It's like this wasn't even a Pac-Man game to begin with. What the heck are you looking at? This dude looks like he owns an air fryer or something. What? What's that? You say Pac-In-Time wasn't even a Pac-Man game to begin with? That's right, hypothetical audience that should totally subscribe to my channel. While Pac-In-Time originally came out for the DOS, Macintosh, SNES, and Game Boy in 1995, what's even more is that it's a reskin of a game called Fury of the Furries that came out in 1993. You see, in 1994 the game was licensed to Namco, and to put it in layman terms, this game pulled a Mario 2, changing the graphics, music, and adding in their own popular character. To clarify, the Amiga, DOS, and Game Boy versions are just a reskin of the original game, while the SNES version is built from the ground up with original levels. However, it still uses all the main power-ups from the original game.
Dude! We're falling right out of the sky! We gotta drop the load!
Fury of the Furries is a neat little game that more people need to play in my opinion. You see, the plot revolves around these little creatures called Tinies who have just returned from space, only to realize their home has been ruined and taken over by an evil Tiny called the Wicked One.
I'm gonna be all up in those feet.
So, utilizing the Tiny's abilities to transform, they gain new skills, enabling them to swing, climb, fight, and swim their way to the castle, where the king is being held captive. It's good quality old school platforming. While I didn't grow up with the original game, I feel more people should play would inspire the creation of Pac-In-Time, as there is a lot of charm that even surpasses the level designs and ability gimmicks themselves. I think the game deserves more attention other than the people that grew up with it. For instance, there's no speedrunning other than this one video I found on YouTube that's just World 1. But yeah, there's no real speedruns of the game, and barely anyone talks about it anymore in modern media. And I think it's just a pretty cool thing that more people need to talk about. I feel when developing this game, they could have been a little more original with the ideas and power-ups by giving him a pack dot to throw instead of the little energy ball, and giving him a snorkel when he's underwater to signify that you needed to swim. If you're interested in playing either Fury of the Furries, or the PC version of Pac-In-Time, I'll leave a link below as the game is considered abandonware, and is free to play in a browser or just download on your PC. So now that you know about Fury of the Furries, I have to tell you about its sequel. That's right, after 20 years, the original devs from the first game are making a real sequel, and it's looking pretty good. The title? Fury of the Furries 2. And the mandatory subtitle. I'm not gonna lie, the sass in this name alone is already really charming. At the time of this video, the dev's official Twitter only has around 100 followers, and to me that's criminally underrated and unacceptable when they made the account just 3 years ago. They already posted a trailer, and while I know numbers don't mean everything, they need more attention. I already made the mistake with Ricky and Vicky when missing that game launched out, so I want to make sure that people notice that this game's coming out. Also, what is it with the French bringing back old dormant games from like over 20 years ago? I'm looking at you, Windjammers, too. Not complaining, but just pretty cool. One thing I also wanted to point out that a lot of YouTubers don't cover is that Fury of the Furries was getting a sequel as a 3D platformer. Now, I found this on the website over here, but there's actually a lot of cool concept art. And again, this game doesn't take itself seriously, and it's just cool to see what could have been. I really like the more serious, goofy art style they were going with, and I know that sounds like an oxymoron, but look at these images and it honestly looks pretty promising. Even though the sequel they're making now is going to be 2D, I do hope that they continue to consider a possible 3D remake. I want to give a big shout out to my follower Danny Dirt on Twitter for even telling me of the existence of Fury of the Furries, which led me down a rabbit hole to research how Pac-In-Time even came to be. I'd also like to thank the channel It's a Pixel Thing for making a video explaining the history and origins of Fury of the Furries. If you want more context about how these games came to be and a more in-depth overview of the gameplay, I'd highly recommend you check out his channel. The person who composed the absolute banger of an OST is actually on YouTube and has uploaded the entire soundtrack of Pac-In-Time on YouTube and Bandcamp. And yes, I did buy the Pac-In-Time album. I'm a real fan, gotta show my support. And lastly, a big thanks to Diamond Longplace for being the first and only person online to upload a full playthrough of this game, so I could see the ending for myself without checking myself into a mental asylum. Links to everyone will be in the description. Thanks for watching to the end, and remember my friends, stay foxy. I honestly got Elden Ring because all my friends had it, and while I didn't have the time to do anything in depth or finish the game, I decided a fun little review going over my initial thoughts could suffice. Looking back at the video now, I can tell I wanted to make more of a montage than an actual review, but I still find it charming nonetheless.
Torch? Arrows? Grace? You want it? It's yours, my friend. As long as you have enough runes.
So I just got Elden Ring.
Oh, he sees me. Never mind. It's just time for battle. Alright. Let's do this. Da, 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 da. Oh! Oh, okay. That was a... Ooh, that... Bad Skelly. Bad Skelly. Bad Skelly. That's right. What the? Oh my god! Is that a bear? Ah! What the heck? Oh! Where did that come from?
And so far, I think I'm doing pretty good. Heyo, free chest to take?
Oh! Here we go!
It's only a little bit difficult. I'll be honest, I've never played a Souls game before, and I was about to view Elden Ring as just another entry of a franchise I never cared about, until I saw everyone giving this game insane scores. So, I took the bait and got the game. And what was I greeted with? You guessed it. Pain. Lots and lots of pain. While it's no surprise the game is very hard, that doesn't mean it's unfair. I mean, let's be honest. Imagine if the first Legend of Zelda game launched today and there were 0 guides. People would probably be calling this game unfair. If you speak to the painfully obvious glowing old man, Elden Ring actually has an optional tutorial on the right, and people said that still wasn't enough somehow. Again, comparing this to Zelda, sure, there's a cave right in front of you, but I don't see a detailed map, list of objectives, Link talking to himself, or button prompt to figure that out, and this game is considered a classic. While both sides have valid arguments about accessibility in games versus playing how they're intended, I will admit, I enjoy the struggle so far. Starting off as a scrawny little bandit and taking on foes 50 times your size is really exciting, and once you overcome that challenge, it feels all the more rewarding.
I won!
At the time of making this video, I've put in roughly 10 hours, and most of that time has been spent exploring the world. Again, I've seen the memes about what this game would look like if it was made like an Assassin's Creed game, and I'm actually glad none of that junk is in here. Sure, it's a little harder to keep track of missions and such, but that makes the interactions in this game all the much more memorable. I mean, when's the last time you did a side quest in the game that didn't feel like pandering or a bunch of filler?
Sorry, Tarnish, but I don't give out credit. Come back when you have some maidens.
Alright, getting out of here, getting out of here. I just wanted my stuff. We'll fight another time. See you later. Goodbye. Hope you have a good one. I love how I have an arrow just sticking out the straight of my middle. Wait, you can come out here too? Oh, no! Help! He's chasing me out to the overworld! Oh no! Oh god! Get me out, get me out, get me out, get me out! Oh no! Get me out, get me out, get me out, get me out, get me out! I have no HP! The boss chased me out into the overworld! He's still chasing me! Oh my god!
I don't want to ramble on for too long, but overall, Elden Ring sets out to do what it was made to do. It makes you feel powerless and alone, but simultaneously makes you feel like Spider-Man. Makes you feel like a rising hero overcoming all odds. In a few months, I hope to make a follow-up video, but I want to say thank you to all my friends who have helped me understand how this game works and ultimately just get good at it. Thanks, and I'll see you later. Alright, so the audio for this Sonic rant video was recorded in a car while I was driving home from work because I was listening to videos of so many brain-dead people online saying that Sonic Frontiers was going to flop. I felt like I was going to lose my mind. So I had to speak up and just poke fun at a few certain YouTubers that kept making these claims. Otherwise, it's just a silly video.
Hey guys, Supersonic fan 69420 here. Just came to say that, you know, based on Sonic Frontiers, it's pretty mid. I mean, look at this. There's reused stage design. That's an automatic yikes in my book. So even though everyone that's played the game has literally said it's probably one of the best Sonic games they played in a long time, you know, you're gonna have to take it from me, someone that only played Sonic Adventure 2 mods and Unleashed mods, that, you know, it's gonna be a mid game at best. I don't like it when things ever evolve in the Sonic series, and I'm gonna hold Sega accountable for my father leaving until they bring back Sonic Adventure 3. Also, here's a bunch of rumors that I managed to find on Reddit and 4chan, showing that this is gonna be happening in the game. Oh yeah, also it turns out that Eggman's gonna die! Whoa! Also, can we talk about how Sonic Omens is literally peak gaming? I mean, look at this. Maria's a boss fight! Whoa! Also, they wrote Bad Girl on her underwear? Oh man! Talk about peak Sonic gaming. NANI? Come on, Sega, wake up! We all know, the fans do that. Come on, Sega, wake up! we all know the fans do what you can't. Now, a lot of people are gonna say, whoa, Tay, that's a pretty controversial take when it comes to the Sonic community, but I gotta say, as a dedicated Sonic fan, I only played the GameCube port. So therefore, my opinion is better than all of yours. Also, might I remind you, I'm the one with the PNG avatar making the video. Either way, please sit back and relax as I just read a bunch of rumors from Reddit and 4chan proving that Sonic Frontiers is gonna be a terrible game. I mean, sure, I haven't played it for myself, but have you seen the game? Mid! Anyway, while you guys sit here and watch the video, I'm just gonna reiterate the things I've been saying the last couple minutes with some generic Sonic gameplay in the background. I mean, look at this, Sega. This is supposed to be your big game. I think Sega needs to remember that we want them to simultaneously innovate on Sonic games while simultaneously keeping them the same. Well, yeah, that's all I got to say. Anyway, remember to subscribe to my channel, guys. Anyway, don't forget, I make these bad takes purely for the attention in the Sonic community, because we all know that negative Sonic opinions get the most views. Super Sonic Fan 69 420 out.
While this is not the last video in this supercut you're watching now, this is the last review I made in 2022, and I'm quite proud of it considering I worked on and off this one for close to 6 months. It's the longest review I made to date, and I really tried to go in depth with this one rather than covering generic bullet points that any YouTuber could have done. So what's Glass? Glass is an action platformer made by Alex Stanley on itch.io, released in 2019 as a demo. So why am I covering a demo of something made 3 years ago? Well, I'll get into that later. To be quite honest, like most games, I discovered this hidden gem through its soundtrack, which was made by Tech. If you don't know who they are, they've made music for games like Skeleton Boomerang and many more games. Seriously, check them out if you haven't, because the music is legendary. And you know what they say, if the music is good, the game is good. So imagine if you took the platforming of Celeste, tight controls of Super Meat Boy, and the lighthearted yet dark undertones of Undertale. Put them all together, and well, that basically summarizes up what Glass is. Starting the game, your friend wakes you up to go venture in the cave at the end of town. And on your way there, you'll meet a vast array of unique characters and locations that gives this game its unique look. I particularly like the townspeople who give you tips on how to play, but in a non-intrusive and humorous way. Such as this guy who grew eyes and shows you how to look ahead in multiple directions using the keyboard, this other one that shows you that duck jumping is a useful skill to have, and this other one that shows you that you can enable outlines for easier viewing. Well, hello there, Crab! Wait, what? While environments like this are not necessary for a platformer, considering most people prefer just to blast through dialogue and just get in the action, I have to admit I'm pretty impressed that a demo has this much depth and personality already. For example, if you adventure around town before starting the main game, you'll notice a few key details foreshadowing something is wrong and that there's more than meets the eye. For starters, hidden in the coffee shop is a keycard labeled as number 1. And if we look even deeper, right outside your home is a missing sign, and sure, it's easy to overlook that, but in the library there's a whole wall of missing people on display. And reading the books in the library may seem useless, but it gives some important context that everyone here lives on a small island. Going upstairs, we meet up with this guy who looks like they're going insane as they talk about the green beast of hate and greed, taking everyone into the sky. Okay, Grandpa, I think you've been spending a little too much in the sci-fi section. Also, that's the same room where we find the second keycard. To be honest, there's a lot more details I want to cover, but I'll save that for later in the video as some of these get into spoiler territory. After rendezvousing back at the cave, you'll quickly notice that since you're made of glass, everything is a death trap. Yeah, turns out being made of glass isn't all it's cracked up to be. Simple things like jumping slightly too high,
bouncing into a ceiling, or slamming into a wall too fast can prove to be fatal. So you continue further, and one of my favorite traps has to be this sign right here that says it's safe to jump on these spikes, with this cool dude advising us to do so, and this neon sign. Now, our friend tries to advise us that it's a bad idea, but let's be honest, when are women ever right about anything? For legal reasons, that was a joke. I'm sorry, women. Once we get into this room, I'd like to note that there is a secret path down here indicated by the indent in the platform that leads to something pretty creepy, but again, we'll get back to that later. The difficulty ramps up when we go from simple platforming trials to physics-based jumps that require much tighter timing, like this room here. What you're supposed to do is jump to each platform one at a time. But if you're cool like me, you can go into speedrun mode and just use the momentum to skip it all. Just watch out for the... And with that, we've made it back to our friend, who now advises us to walk across this totally not rickety log as a bridge. But with nowhere to go, we hop on and... Yeah, apparently we angered some bees, and in an attempt to get away from her, we fall down the hole. But hey, at least we have this pile of bones and flesh to break our fall. Uh-oh. Yeah, and now out of nowhere, a giant killer rat wants us dead. I actually find this part of the game pretty funny because we went from very tight precision platforming to now a straight up escape sequence. So it's time to haul glass and get out of here. And with that, our glass is saved once again. Wouldn't it be funny if it was possible to jump over the rat and see what was behind it? Guess we'll talk about that towards the end of the video. Now that the deadliest part of the game is over, we can finally exit the cave, safe and sound, to enjoy our picnic on the cliff. However, our friend has some serious concerns. Well, right before we can answer that question, meet Ronaldo. He's the game's villain! After capturing your friend, it turns out he was responsible for the missing people and was following us the entire time. But we already saw him earlier in the game. Wait, you mean you didn't see him? Remember the room with the giant fun sign pointing to the deadly spikes and the super cool dude to the right of it? Let me replay that. And right there. Still don't see him? There's our little froggy boy. Yep, so all those missing signs, missing posters, and even the crazy old man turned out to be true. While flying, Ronaldo gives a bit of insight as to who he is, why he's sick of being fourth in command in the family, and continues to babble on about some sort of machine his family is famous for. So, with the final adios, he drops our friend into the machine, and I'll let the cutscene do the talking for me. And that's where the demo ends.
The entire island has been captured, your friend has been smashed and reformed into a wine glass, and now we're all alone. Oh, but hey, at least we have this pretty cool car to keep us company. Whee! So now that we covered the main story, let's talk about the extra collectibles such as the key cards, Halo, hidden pathways, and what's behind the rat. Now, if you want to be adorned in such holy attire as me, you're gonna have to jump through a few hoops. Inside this building, there's a kid who challenges you to beat their high score in a Flappy Bird type game where you gotta guide the plane through a bunch of gaps. What you're not told is how it's near impossible. This minigame requires precision that would make Hawkeye jealous. So after close to an hour of attempts, I finally beat the game.
What do I win?
Nothing! Now get out!
What?
Yep, I beat the Little Twerp's high score, and all I got was this halo above my head. I thought it would possibly unlock another keycard or give me a new ability or new dialogue, but nope, it's purely cosmetic. Weird thing is how the halo disappears on random occasions and varies from room to room and death to death. With no changes in sight, I have to assume this was a feature of the demo that wasn't finished yet. As for the keycards, they don't appear to do anything, but you'll find out why in the interview segment. To get behind the rat, all you have to do is simply jump over it. You keep heading to the left and eventually you'll find out what's inside the nest. Again, I'll go into more detail during the interview segment. If you're unable to play the game or just want to see everything without playing, I did leave a link to my full playthrough below on my third channel. Overall, Glass is a fantastic game you should play. And while it's only a demo, what was presented was challenging, creative, and rich in lore. The world was immersive to the point where I genuinely wanted to explore it rather than treat it like some sort of starting area to just ignore. The dialogue from the NPCs was witty and fun to read, and most importantly, the gameplay was solid. While a few things could be tweaked level design wise, I feel I was in complete control of my actions and enjoyed every moment of it. With that, I do want to say the creator of the game, Alex Stanley, has seemingly disappeared from the internet. And that really sucks because, as my audience knows, I love to interview creators. The only socials they have is Itch and Twitter, with both accounts having very few followers and the last post being 4 years ago with 0 updates. So I kind of fear that he's either abandoned the game or something happened to him. Well, that's what I would have said a few months ago when I initially made this video. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, after going radio silent for nearly 4 years, I managed to get in contact with Alex through none other than Plus Tech once again. Honestly, I should have done this sooner, but I never assumed the composer of the soundtrack would have had his information. With that said, let's see what Alex has been up to for the last 4 years and get some developer insight as to what's going on with this game. Once again, I want to thank Alex for letting me interview him, and my friend Bergnut for reading his lines for this video. So, addressing the elephant in the room, where have you been since 2018 after you released the initial demo for Glass? It's been silent for nearly 4 years.
Oh yikes, it really has been a while, hasn't it? Believe it or not, I began development on Glass in 2016 when I was 15 years old and still in high school. Now at 21 and in college, I have much less time to work on my projects. That in combination with some significant life changes has largely halted development at this time. That being said, there certainly has been work done on Glass since 2019. Code optimization for Glass has been a long, arduous, but necessary process.
Is Glass the first game you've ever made?
Yep, it's the first one to see the world outside of my own computer.
What initially inspired you to create this game? Did you already have a story in mind, or did you just want to make a platformer?
The idea for Glass grew from a game design challenge I set for myself. I wanted to make a game that was centered around a universally hated game mechanic and still have it be fun. For Glass, I chose fall damage and began to push the concept to the extreme. After that was established, the rest kind of began to fall into place.
Since its development is currently on hiatus, do you still think of elements you want to add to the game someday, or is it pretty much out of sight until you're ready?
Glass is rarely out of mind and there are lots of elements to be added. There were many features that were absent from the demo.
Hidden throughout the game are 2 secret key cards. Are there any more hidden, and do they lead to anything within the demo?
You found them! And yes, they do lead somewhere in the demo. Where they lead is a little empty at the current moment, but a room can be accessed. I just wonder where the door is.
Alright, so I gotta say, that paper airplane minigame was absolutely unfair. However, after beating it, my character got a halo above their head. Does this do anything? And why does it disappear from time to time?
I concur. I hadn't realized the minigame was so hard until after I released the demo. It will be fixed in the full version. The halo is just a cosmetic meant to reward those who could beat the minigame. The reason it disappears is due to a bug in how the demo saves progress. The same bug that makes the player outline turn off occasionally.
So I managed to get behind the rat during the chase sequence to its secret den. Unfortunately, it was empty. What did you plan to hide there?
The rat was intended to have a much larger den filled with all kinds of great nasty stuff. Additionally, there would be a challenge level in a subsequent room. Unfortunately, because I'm still playing around with how challenge levels are rewarded, the idea had to be pushed back. The room is there just now as a placeholder, but I'm glad you found it.
You obviously put a lot of effort into the characters, dialogue, optional lore, and world building. How far did you initially plan to take it?
Glass has a full roadmap laid out. The plan is to have 4 main worlds with 4 factory worlds at the end of each. The Caves, Ronaldo's Factory, Fashion World, Trish's Factory, Simon's Factory, Final Factory. The game would see you travel to each zone and shut down that branch of the Leaps family factory.
What was the least and most fun part about creating this game?
Watching people play the game is by far the most fun part about making Glass. Even when the difficulty has people cursing me to a fiery grave, I love it. In terms of actually making the game, level design and character writing are by far my favorite parts. Admittedly, I'm not a super competent programmer, so the hours I spend trying to get the game to actually work is definitely the least fun part. My strengths are more geared towards game design and writing.
Okay, so why do the crabs meow?
The reason is because it's silly, but I suppose I'll give you the real answer. In an early build of the game, the village was populated with placeholder NPCs and they were cats. After I had filled out the village with more glass fellas, it was time to get rid of the cats, but instead of getting rid of them entirely, I decided to retexture them as crabs to better fit the village's beach aesthetic. When I did this, I forgot to remove their dialogue code, so the crabs said meow for some reason. I thought it was hilarious, so it had to stay in the game.
What do you plan to do in the coming future with your game?
My plan is to start development again after I'm done with college, this time with a team. When the game comes out, it'll look very different from the demo. There's a lot of stuff to look forward to. Glamorous runway shows, silly characters, 4 major boss battles, secrets, and of course, more crushing levels. I can't guarantee when the game will be out, but I can say with certainty that it won't be for a while. That being said, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to talk about my game. I'm so glad you've enjoyed it and spent the time to explore some secrets. It's players and creators like yourself that make all the difference to the small devs out there. Hey, Mr. Alex, if you need a voice actor, I'm right here.
Once again, I want to give a big thank you to Alex for coming out of his bunker to be interviewed, my friend Berg for voicing him, and all my wonderful patrons for actually making this video come out. Links will be in the description below, and remember, stay foxy. The Did You Know Gaming Parody collab initially started as a joke video where I was just going to collect fake online game facts and throw it all together. But after going deeper and deeper with the idea, I ended up asking friends and other YouTubers to join in, leading to my biggest collab of 2022, featuring over 25 unique individuals like Lonely Goomba, Connor the Waffle, and so many more. It's fast-paced, funny, and I'm glad so many people liked it.
Did you know the critically acclaimed Super Mario Bros. 2 is just a reskin of Doki Doki Panic for the... Hey, get your bloody hands off me. What are you doing? Let me back in that recording booth.
Hey everyone, sorry about that pesky intruder. He's been repeating that same fact for over a decade. Anyway. Did you know? Doki Doki Panic was actually developed by the same team that made the first Super Mario Bros. However, Shigeru Miyamoto suggested making the game more Mario-like to appeal to consumers.
Did you know? In Super Mario World, keep diving into a Goomba will turn it into a part of the Wink sprite. The tile it uses is in the same spot as the squashed Goombas sprite found in the leaked prototype graphic files. This seems to be a leftover from when they acted more closely to the traditional Goombas from previous Mario games.
Did you know? In level 3-2 of Super Mario Land, there's a bombshell Koopa whose spawning point is set to be directly above a bottomless pit. Because of this, it immediately falls into the pit and dies upon spawning. However, if Mario runs through the level at maximum speed, the player will be able to catch a glimpse of the Koopa for a single frame as it falls to its inevitable demise.
Did you know? When asked about why the Super Mario series has so many objects with smiling faces on them, series director Shigeru Miyamoto said, "You see, it's simple. In our world, you go around outside and everyone is just unhappy. But in Mario's world, it's a lot more different. We wanted to make Mario's world a happier place than our own."
Did you know? During the development of the GameCube, it took Shigeru Miyamoto the span of at least 3 years to finalize the controller's design. When asked what the main inspiration was for the controller's design and layout, he stated, "You know that Fisher-Price game controller for babies? I got one for my son, and after seeing him enjoy it so much, I decided to rip off the design." He then stated, "Nintendo players are like babies, so I decided to give them something worthy of their reputation." To this day, Fisher-Price has not taken legal action.
Did you know? During the development of Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, series director Sakurai revealed that there was going to be a third hand added to the final boss fight. For context, at the end of Classic Mode in Smash 4, you proceed to fight Master Hand and Crazy Hand. If the difficulty is high enough, you get to fight Master Giant, Master Beast, Master Edge, Master Shadow, Master Fortress, and finally Master Core. While reluctant to say what the scrap name would have been, it was revealed that the third hand would have been called Master Bait, and sported a fishing rod and hat to match. For reasons unknown, Nintendo rejected the name.
Did you know? During a private interview with investors, it was revealed that Nintendo does not re-release their GameCube games because each GameCube title states only on Nintendo GameCube. To make a port would undermine their previous statement and throw the company into chaos. When later asked why Super Mario Sunshine was playable on Switch via the 3D All-Stars collection, they visibly grew irritated and promptly ended the meeting. The interviewer hasn't been seen since.
Did you know? In the game, Mario teaches typing. If you type in a swear word, Mario will repeat what you said over and over until a special code is input to silence him. While many don't know why this was implemented, many have assumed it was to deter students from typing in naughty words. So having Mario say what you typed at max volume would hopefully scare them into not doing it again.
Did you know? In Super Smash Bros. Melee, there is an unused voice clip of the announcer saying, After interviewing Dean Harrington, he later admitted that this was just some lighthearted banter recorded to reference the worst social media website in the world, Twitter.com.
Did you know? The story of Sonic Forces is loosely based on alternate history novels based on Nazi-era Germany victory in World War II. This is further supported by the interface of the game, which uses a similar style to propaganda posters from the time, and even uses the same typeface.
Did you know? It's actually quite easy to mod your 3DS. All you need is an SD card, 10 minutes of spare time, and congratulations! You're now a certified gamer. Uh-oh. Sounds like the Nintendo ninjas found my secret hideout again. Remember, kids, do what you want 'cause a pirate is free. You are a pirate.
Did you know? Game Freak and the Pokemon Company are run by a bunch of undercover furries. When asked why Lopunny, Incineroar, and Vaporeon were all so popular, all they had to say was, "Don't question it, we know who our target demographic is."
Did you know? When investors asked Nintendo why they have never implemented rollback netcode into their games despite adding a price tag to their formerly free online service, a Nintendo representative stated, "Online is not our strong suit. We were hoping you would have been distracted by the free NES and N64 games."
Did you know? Japanese copies of Mario Kart Wii allegedly made players 10% faster than their North American counterparts? this is why many from Japan would dominate the leaderboards.
Did you know? The reason why Mario wears a Tanooki suit is that in Japanese mythology, Tanukis were believed to have giant testicles. Miyamoto at the time thought Mario would have a high sexual drive, and thus a Tanooki costume would be appropriate for him to wear.
Did you know? When developing Super Monkey Ball, the team decided to name the characters Ai, Mimi, Baby, and Gongon. Series director Toshihiro Nagoshi said, "These names are stupid. It's just the same syllable repeated twice. I'm going to make a better game about the Yakuza instead." Then he went on to work on Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg.
Did you know? Deep within the files of Sonic Adventure 2 lies data for an unused robot in Eggman's E100 series. While many are familiar with E102 Gamma and E123 Omega, the last robot, simply named E621, has remained a mystery for almost 2 decades. For more information, be sure to look up Sonic E621 and tell us what you find in the comments below.
Did you know? MatPat is actually a 75-year-old warlock who occasionally drains the life force from his subscribers in order to gain enough strength to make a new Five Nights at Freddy's video. He does this through various means such as beating dead horses and inciting the rage of the public.
Did you know? Back in 2006, Nintendo made a deal with the Central Intelligence Agency. You see, the CIA gives them the names and locations of people who pirate their games. And in return, Nintendo gives them a backdoor into their systems.
This is Meowth here for Did You Know Gaming. Did you know that when you were out in the Safari Zone trying to catch Pokemon, I was out in Pewter City catching bitches? Bet you look stupid now.
Did you know Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock has a reference right on the cover? The cover has a 3D model of famous music artist Slash, referencing that music is featured within the game. It's easy to miss, but it's there, hidden in plain sight. It's crazy.
Did you know? In the intro of Stardew Valley, you watch your grandpa die on a noticeably rickety bed. But this wasn't the original design. Several different scenarios were considered for Grandpa's death scene, such as the bed being even worse, or Kirby swallowing the bed whole.
Did you know the uncanniness of the child in Medal of Honor Warfighter, released in 2012, is due to the little-known fact that the development team have never once seen a human child in their entire lives?
Did you know the reason why microphones and gaming headsets are so bad was actually done on purpose? This was made so gamers couldn't hear the countless racial slurs their teammates shouted during a Call of Duty match.
Well, that's the end of the 2022 feature-length Supercut. I hope you enjoyed what I made this year, and I really look forward to creating more unique and fun things in the future as we head into 2023. If you want to support the channel, feel free to do so on Patreon or Ko-fi, like these amazing people on screen have done. I'm ProTayToe, I'll see you next year, and remember, stay foxy.